And with 11 days to go, the New York Post is endorsing former President Trump for president. The headline, Back to the Future. We'll see if that gives him a little boost. And the former president, he has a busy day, as Alexis McAdams was telling us. He is holding events in Texas and Michigan.
We shall follow that. In the meantime, the VP, Kamala Harris, now is going to be in Houston later today for a speech on abortion. She said 2 nights ago that the filibuster should be in play in order to codify Roe v. Wade with just 51 votes in the Senate. And that's a move the critics say could lead to the passage of a slew of liberal policies, including Medicare for all and court expansion, and on down the line. Madeline Rivera, North Lawn today at the White House to break all this down for us. And Maddie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Bill. Vice President Kamala Harris's comments are another attempt to further set herself apart from former President Trump on abortion. It's one of the few issues where she does top the former president on the issue. This New York Times Siena College poll out this morning shows she has about a 15-point lead over Trump here. Here she is earlier this week doubling down on the possibility of getting rid of the 60-vote threshold in the Senate to enshrine abortion rights into federal law.
I think we need to take a look at the filibuster, to be honest with you. But the reality of it is this. Let's talk about how we got here. When Donald Trump was president, he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
Harris floated the idea of eliminating the filibuster last month on an interview with Wisconsin Public Radio. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema blasted her position. Both are staunch supporters of the procedural tactic. 2 years ago, they rejected an attempt by Democrats to change the filibuster rules to pass voting rights legislation, but the two are retiring this year.
So anyone says, well, I'm just going to eliminate the filibuster or the 60-vote threshold for this one subject. Well, Harry Reid tried that with just the district and circuit courts, circuit judges, and then the Republicans came back and did it for the Supreme Court. So once you start down that in policy and on policies, you have everything under the sun thrown at and it'll just dissipate.
Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer did suggest changing the filibuster rules to pass voting rights and abortion rights legislation, but that is, of course, if Democrats keep the Senate next year.
There you go. Thank you, Madeline Rivera, North Lawn. Thank you.
She's actually imploding, if you take a look, because, look, I'm not supposed to say it, but we are leading by so much. They think she is grossly incompetent, let's face it. She is not doing well. We can't have her as president. Can't have. We've had that for 4 years. We're not going to go another 4 years.
Former President Trump lambasting the state of the Harris campaign. This amid a series of headlines saying Democrats are growing more doubtful about her chances. Despite that, though, the New York Times Siena poll, the final one before the election, shows Harris and Trump locked in a dead heat, 48-48. Annie Linskey, White House reporter for the Wall Street Journal, is here, and you've been really into this campaign. If we pull up call for number 1, the latest polls do show a neck-and-neck race. The Wall Street Journal has it with Trump a little bit ahead, and so did a Fox News poll. But with the margin of error, this is tied. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, the national polling, though, is really interesting. And that's because usually you would expect to see a Democratic candidate a few points ahead in the national polling. That's where Democrats have been in the last few elections. So when you're seeing whether it's the Times poll showing a tie or the Wall Street Journal poll showing Trump 2 points ahead in the national polling, I think that is just increasing jitters for Democrats because they're used to seeing their candidate being up nationally and then struggling a little bit more in the swing states. So it's even though it looks tied because it's not what you'd expect to see, I think it's made the Trump people extremely happy, and it's kind of building the confidence that they already have that they're in a good position.
Annie, you're back in D.C. now, but you were in Michigan this week, right? You were in Lansing with Kamala Harris, and you were in Detroit with her. Well, what did people say? What were your big takeaways?
Yeah, you know, I was at 2 smaller events with Harris, which it's kind of nice to see that contrast from, you know, the big rallies that really bring out the diehard supporters. And some of these smaller events, you really get a little bit more of an intimate experience with a candidate, and you can talk to people a little bit more. Look, the people who are at these events are excited for her, but some of the people I was talking to are doing, they're doing phone banking for her, and they were finding that they were having some real difficulties, particularly among younger voters who are saying that they don't know enough about Harris. And so just talking to some of these Harris volunteers who are saying, look, this has just been one of the really big challenges that we've had as we've been trying to push our candidate. We're confronting younger voters who just don't know her very well. And the polling tells a similar story.
Annie, I want to go back a little bit to the middle of June, and you were a co-author on a piece where you had dozens of sources telling you that Joe Biden had lost a step. And this is not something you reported with glee, but you did report it. And the White House came after you, the Democrats came after you, said, how dare you? Then we have the debate on June 27th, and it's clear to everybody. In the last couple of weeks, Kamala Harris has been asked, when did you notice that Joe Biden had started to decline? Or what was it like when you saw it? And she has declined to state. She's basically saying that it was a fluke. She had never seen it before. If you think back on your reporting, is that even possible?
I mean, I've been really surprised to hear that answer from her. First of all, I will compliment the reporters who have been asking her that question. Brett Baer on your network was really the first mainstream media reporter to ask her that question, the first reporter to ask her that question, period. And then Hallie Jackson also did bring it up as well. What I think is interesting about the question is she sort of does have her line on it is to say, Biden has the sort of judgment to be president. She's not saying he has the stamina to be president. And then she pivots away awfully fast. I would have thought this would have been a bigger issue in the campaign, just given how much time she spent with the president and how clear his decline was. But she benefits from a very condensed campaign in that regard.
Yeah. Although now you also have people like David Brooks writing today in the New York Times that there's not enough time for her to make the sale. So as Jim Messina said yesterday, she has room to grow, but not necessarily the time to do it. Annie, thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Nice to see you. Come on back soon, okay?
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.